So I'm going to introduce Rory Berry. So he is a life coach and executive coach, as well as a corporate trainer, and he champions play as a way to learn and grow. Having spent 8 years making things up on stage as an improviser, he brings this energy and creativity alongside his love for Lego to the individuals and companies he works with. So this should be, as he would say, a grand adventure. So take it away, Rory. We're ready for your adventure.
Thank you very much, Miss Meg, and welcome everyone. Let's go on a grand adventure. I fell in love with improv when I went to an event and there were some improvisers there, and somebody went to a make-believe party as a Rubik's Cube who spoke gibberish, and I was hooked. It just piqued my imagination. I couldn't understand this level of magic and alchemy that just happened in front of me, and I knew that it had to be part of my life. At the time, I was just an actor, and so I needed to add improvising to my repertoire. 8 years of making it all up as we go along later, I have been able to take some of these beautiful, simple, and really brilliant things from improv, and I now use them in my coaching and training that I do with individuals and with companies. And so I'm going to share a couple of them with you today. And obviously, as Meg said, please feel free to ask some questions and or share some. I mean, you can even do nasty statements if you really feel like it. I'll be brave. I did take critique as a performer. So yes, and people always hear about yes, and from the improv world. So what does yes, and mean? Yes, and means we take the offer we're given and we build upon it, and then we take it somewhere else. Yes, and keeps things flowing. Yes, but is a no. And we don't want no's when we're on stage, because what happens is, have you seen this grand adventure with the water guardian from planet Voltrazine that's coming to eat us? No, I didn't see that. Well, thanks for ruining the scene, friend. And so when we take yes, and of course we say yes. And did you know he's brought 3 friends along with him, and it's going to be amazing. And off we go on our grand adventure of making stuff up as we go. And one of the things that I love about yes, and is it's this incredible shift from me to we. Because if Meg and I were on stage in a scene together, it's my job to make her look good. And it's her job to make me look good. So what does this mean for us both? Well, number 1, we park our agenda. Number 2, we park our egos. Now, if we think about that in a business context, when we go into meetings, when we go into collaborations, if we go into anything which involves talking with and or negotiating with people, if we can go in with a from me to we approach, park our own agenda, park our own ego, the speed of collaboration rockets up, but more importantly, the outcomes thereof go exponentially higher than they could have been. Because when all we're trying to do is take the stuff people have given us and make it better together, you can only go in one direction, and that's forward and up and exciting. So if you think about your world where you live and or work and or play, which, let's be honest, might be the same room, because welcome to 2021 and living digital. But there are times when we need to shift. And so what I would encourage you, as one of the things to take away from today, ask yourself the question, is this a me to we moment? And if you can make it a me to we moment, you will, statistically speaking, have a much more exciting outcome that you have created. One of the other beautiful things about the performing arts and being on stage is the concept of taking a beat. You can say nothing and drive a scene, create nuance, or in some cases, literally take your breath and try and remember what you're supposed to say next. But the point of take a beat is it just, I've been accompanied by my hounds today. Guarantee you somebody's getting a delivery somewhere in the world. But the point of taking a beat means that we get an opportunity to just now, if you think about the wild world, the wild west digitally that we live in these days, where we get 7,844,423 things thrown at us every 14 milliseconds, it's very easy to not stop. Taking a beat means that we literally sometimes just stop for a breath in a day. And as was in one of the write-ups, I often say, it's not about slow down to speed up. Sometimes it's about slow down to keep going. When you take that beat, when you take that breath, when you have that pause, you can also sometimes take half a step back and just re-look at everything that is in the overwhelm and just dial it back to just a whelm. It doesn't have to be an overwhelm anymore. And so if you think about taking a beat, it doesn't have to be like a 4-hour solo quest on a hill with a mountain with a cave. It can literally be a stand up and go make a cuppa and come back, and everything that was overwhelming has actually no longer trying to beat you up. Or more importantly, you can put down that VIP membership of the Beat Yourself Up Club that you're probably using to beat yourself up with. Put it down, take a beat, take a breath, and in the classic case of be kind to yourself. Because, and this is probably not a surprise to any of you, but I like to share it just in case, you spend the most time with you on the planet. So you should spend a bit more time being kind to you when you're spending time with you, which is why I always encourage my clients to take themselves on dates, because you're awesome. So if anybody hasn't taken themselves on a date in the last little while, have a date with yourself this weekend. It'll be awesome. It doesn't even have to be expensive. So just to say, but you're obviously all worth it. So if you'd like to treat yourselves, go wild. One of the things about improv is people always assume it's about hunting the laugh. Now, there's short form improv, 3 to 5 minute scenes where we are wildly mischievous and get up to crazy havoc. And then there's long form improv, where we create scenes and things that are up to, and the longest long form improv I ever did was, we did a 13-hour improvised soap opera to raise funds for a charity. So we had 50-minute episodes and then 10-minute breaks to try and find our brains that we'd melted in the previous 50, grab some food and hydration, and then jump onto the next scene. What this meant was we couldn't just hunt the laugh. Sometimes what you have to do is you have to drive the scene, aka do the drudgery, boring stuff. In our lives, it's very easy to always hunt the exciting, excitable, yay things. And we kind of go, yeah, I'll do that later. I'll do that later. And then that do that later list gets nice and big. And then it attacks us slowly. And then we grab that VIP membership of the Beat Yourself Up Club. And we don't have any energy to do the list, but we can waste energy beating ourselves up again. Come now. That's not really helpful, is it? So when I say don't hunt the laugh, what I mean is sometimes do the boring stuff and get it out the way, because then you can have more grand adventures. And therein lies the absolute fun and the mischief. Embracing mistakes as gifts is one of my favorite things from improv. Because if somebody says something wrong in a scene, we can't go, me, I don't like you, and walk off stage. Like, that just doesn't work. The audience has paid to be there and they expect you to do something with it. So we have to embrace that mistake as something that is beautiful, wonderful, amazing, and the awesomest thing we've ever seen, even if we're about 0.37 seconds from finding it. And then we have to do something with it. If we take this concept into our own lives, anything is a learning opportunity as a result. Does sucky stuff happen? Absolutely. Does it suck? Probably. And depending on what it is, the suck level or the size of the suck fest is determined entirely by what it is. But as tech often says, if we fail forward, we learn from that thing. We embrace that mistake as a gift, an opportunity to learn, grow, etc., etc., etc. Now, does this mean that every time something bad happens, I dance around gleefully? No, sometimes I have a beautiful pity party for myself and I have a good old sulk. But I can then take a beat, take a breath, find the treasure within that, the learnings, the opportunity for something for me to take away. And then I take that, bin the rest, and crack on. One of my favorite exercises to do, and we've probably got time based on how I'm going. And so we're going to do this at micro speed. You don't have to physically write it if you don't have a pen, but just have a think about this. In the next 10 seconds, write down, without questioning the question, just go straight for the answers in your head, the top 10 most important people in your life. Just have a quick think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'll give you all another 5 seconds. Just to be clear, there's no prizes. If you can get 12, good for you. And so the first question I always ask people when they have this list in front of them is, are you on the list? And by extrapolation, are you at the top of your list? Because if you're not at the top of your list, statistically speaking, you're at the top of nobody's list. So who's looking after you? It's not necessarily directly improv related, but it's something I like to leave with people. Because when you can take a beat and hang out with number one, you can put you back on that list and look after you. Because deep down within, you're probably crying out to hang out with you and have that date. So once again, dates for everyone on the weekend. A lot of the time, improv, people always assume that it's just easy to do. Now, it is after you've done it for 8 years. But when you're learning, one of the first things that we're taught is, and this is going to sound really counterintuitive, but stick with me, I promise it gets better. Don't think, just do. Because when we think, there's that mythical word censor and overthinking that comes creeping in. And then we judge our creativity and we go, oh, I could do that. I could be that character. No, I can't do that. Oh, no, can't. No, no, they might think I'm silly. Newsflash, statistically speaking, you're probably going to be silly if you're on an improv stage. But more importantly, it's okay. With improv, you can't get it wrong. You literally can't get it wrong. Short of like punching someone or stabbing them on stage, like it's really hard to get improv wrong. And I mean, if the scene needs it, it's just, you know, messy on the floor and blood and stuff. Yeah, it's a pain. But the point is, when we overthink and we over-censor, we often don't give the absolute best that we could have to a scene. Now, if we think back to our own lives and even in our own businesses, sometimes we have an idea and we're like, yes, I could definitely do that. I'm going to chase this thing. I'm going to do this thing. And then, hello, this is the voice in your head speaking. Are you sure? Do you really? Sure. And how are you going to do that? When we let those voices win, they get stronger. Now, I'm not saying you get to rampage through the world, sort of like flipping people the bird and headbutting people that annoy you, if that's what you're feeling in the moment. But what I'm saying is, statistically speaking, in the last week, you've probably not done something that would fill your heart and everything with joy, wonder, awe, surprise, and delight, because you've somehow sold yourself the lie. They don't think, whoever the mythical they is, this is cool. I'm allowed to do this, or. So come back to improv. Don't overthink, don't over censor. And especially if you're creating, and I don't care how you interpret the word creating, because we all create in different ways, be it physically, be it mentally, be it words, be it video, be it crafty stuff, be it building with one of my favorite friends, Lego. You cannot create wrong. Think of it like that, right? And classic example, I was a relief teacher for a year in South Africa, by the way, in case you missed it, definitely from Horsham with this accent. No, Cape Town, South Africa, born and raised. Now I live in West Sussex, yay. But I was a relief teacher for a year, teaching drama, okay? And they said to me, right, and we're going to get grades. And I was like, no. And the teacher, the headmistress went, I'm sorry, what? I said, I'm not judging creativity of 7-year-olds and ruining their view of the world. And so there was a bit of negotiation. I was in a lot of trouble for a while. And then I said, okay, well, then everyone gets an A. And she went, you can't do that. And I'm like, did I give them a grade? Yes. Is it my class? Yes. So everyone can get an A. At that point, I realized I'd won and said, fine, I'll do a sliding scale. So I had a sliding scale. Everyone walked into my class on the first day of every term with an A. And I said to them they had to do 4 things to get that A at the end of the year. They had to listen, they had to share, they had to try their best, and they had to do what's right. That's it. 4 simple rules in my class. And we played and we played and we caused absolute havoc. And the teacher next door used to come in regularly and be like, could you keep it down, Mr. Berry? I'll try. And off we would go. My favorite part of that exercise was 2 things. Number 1, a young man who had struggled in other classes came to me and said, sir, you know, you're the best sir we've ever had. And I was like, thanks, buddy. What did I do right? And he said to me a phrase that almost killed me. He said, you shout at the girls too. Because for him, he knew he was a little out there and he was a little excitable. All he wanted was a fair shake. He just wanted everyone to get shouted at when they misbehaved. And so I shouted at everyone when they misbehaved because I had 4 very simple rules in my class. He ended up getting an A in the last 2 terms of my class, and his grades in 3 other classes went up because he got to goof around in Mr. Berry's class, which always made my heart happy. But my other favorite one was, I had an individual in my class who was, shall we say, rambunctious, but a very gifted performer, but didn't like to listen, therefore didn't like to do what's right, therefore breaking half my rules. They got a B in their first term and fell apart. And when their parents came to explain to me that I'd given the wrong grade, and I explained that I hadn't because I have 4 simple rules, they're on the wall. Your child doesn't listen, which means they don't do what's right. They could have got a C. The dad looked at me and went, crack on. And the mom went, you are right. And that individual paid attention and towed the line for the next 3 terms and got A's. We didn't overthink. And more importantly, that individual embraced their mistake as a gift and opportunity to learn. And so the improv teaching still came through. As I start to wrap this adventure up, because I can't believe I've already been talking for 18 minutes. Thank you for listening. I want to really remind you all of a couple of things. Number 1, me to we. If you're doing anything collaboratively, think about the me to we shift. Think about taking a beat. especially when the overwhelm is there and you want to go back to just a good old-fashioned whelm. Take a beat. Don't overthink, don't over-censor, but most importantly, have fun and date you, because you are awesome.
Rory, I think I accidentally muted you. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. Brilliant talk. Really, really loved it. I actually have a question, but I'll wait and see if any other people have questions. Does anybody have a question for Rory? You can feel free to come off of mute if you want to, or put it in the chat and I'll read it out.
To answer Ariana's question, no, I'm not in your head.
Well, while you're thinking, I'll go ahead and ask my question then. So my question is about your point about the me to we and the yes and. So I think that's great, and I definitely live by that in a lot of the things that I do and a lot of the ways that I work. But I've sort of developed that over the years as something that I feel comfortable with. What advice would you give to people who are kind of just sort of seeing the benefits of that, or wanting to really, really collaborate and work with others, or wanting to say yes to more things, but are, I don't know, just don't have the experience or the confidence? Is there any advice around that?
Two things. Number one, consider the geography of your face. And by that, I mean, we very often forget that we've got two of these and one of these, and end up doing a lot more talking, not enough listening. When we go in with a listening mindset, it's much easier to do a me to we shift. And that will then help you. But, and I'm going to bring it back to someone I think, embrace mistakes as gifts. Try, get it wrong, even though you can't really get it wrong, and learn and just get better at it. As with any of these things, the more we practice and do them, the better we get at them. So if you haven't done it before, give it a whirl. Try it on a smaller scale. I mean, maybe don't go like board meeting, like AGM level. I've got an idea. Maybe, test it in smaller settings first and then ramp it up. That would probably be good, because we had practice, even though that sounds weird. We practiced improvising, but we played the games and we got used to them. So yeah, practice, give it a whirl, be brave. And just remember that if it goes wrong, there's a learning there somewhere for you to take into the next one.
Great, thank you. Okay, yeah, so maybe start small, under the radar a little bit, test it out. Maybe go with somebody that you know and sort of trust already as well, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just looking at the chat to see if there are any questions.
Just in relation to Jeffrey's statement, making it we isn't always easy when you have introverts in the room, not always easy to know when they're engaged. I agree, but I would also say that sometimes, and I have massive love for introverts, because they are very often where the treasure lies in a room. They may not say a lot, but they do contribute a lot in other ways. And they may not share in an open forum, but they might share with you afterwards. But the most exciting thing is, even if it is a bit scary at first, asking them to share is always a way to get them involved.
Great points. Thank you. Any other questions for Rory? I have put Rory's website address and his LinkedIn in the chat conversation if anyone wants to connect after. And yeah, I'm sure Rory would be quite open to that. Anyone have any questions? Tim?
Could I ask a question? Can I just check you can all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
You can hear me, okay. Right. I'm in a big room here because we're moving today, so we're kind of rearranging things. So just a quick question. I was going to ask a question around the introvert extrovert thing, but I think you've already answered that. The other thing that was on my mind was, 2020-21, so over the time of the pandemic, we've moved to this kind of thing that we're doing now becoming much more normal.
Yeah.
Part of that is many more things are now live, and not just live, many more things are now recorded. So you always have the feeling of, well, if I improvise, if I say exactly what's on my mind, it's not just a here and now thing, it's going to live on. So if I say something that I might think, I might have worded that differently. Have you had any thoughts around that? The whole thing of you can try to be more outspoken, to think less, to say what's on your mind, but we're moving into a new time where stuff lives on, and it's hard. You can't take back what you say half the time anymore.
Yes, and I think that it is a tricky thing, because we don't know what in 20 years time we are saying now might not be appropriate for that time. Much like people saying things 20, 30, 40 years ago, if it was recorded and available still, that stuff may or may not be appropriate, and I use that word carefully, for now, based on the way things have changed. If you have for want of a better description, compassion-led mindset with the things that you're saying, I would say, and obviously this is not a perfect science, but statistically speaking, you've probably got the best chance of creating content that is, as to use the word, evergreen as possible, and can transcend it. And when you're doing a me to we type shift, it's not about me. So I've parked my agenda, and to the best of my ability, I've parked my ego. So therefore, it's easier to slip into more of a compassion-led conversation type place, which means that, as I said, statistically speaking, you should have the highest probability of being able to say something, even if it's a bit off the cuff, that you wouldn't want to take back. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, it does.
Cool.
I
think it's also about understanding crafting story, which, cheeky plug, I do storytelling workshops, which I can drop into the link if anybody would like to come. It's 2 hours. We do it on Zoom. We play, we create story. And when you understand that, once again, it helps with even the improving of a thing in the middle of a thing that's live, like, oh, and then and you pop off on a quick tangent. If you know the basic building blocks of where you want to go, what you want to do, and most importantly, what the point is, then you've got those controls, but it's like this much space to play in versus that much space to play in, if that helps.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, thank you.
Cool.
Great, thank you, Rory. I think we're going to move on now to Alice. But yeah, thank you so much, Rory, for that talk. Really loved it. Thank you. Okay, so but yeah, continue to put stuff in the chat if you want. Get in touch with Rory afterwards, and yeah, just share whatever you like in the comments. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Alice Reeves. Alice is co-founder and director of The Joyful and The Joyful Academy. And she has more than a decade of experience in journalism, copywriting, editing, and content and social media marketing. Alice has worked across a range of sectors since 2009, including B2C, B2B, and nonprofit businesses. She is passionate about businesses making a positive impact on the world, promoting ethical marketing practices, and empowering businesses to talk the talk and walk the walk. So the focus of Alice's talk is going to be how to use Instagram for digital business. So welcome, Alice. Take it away. I will mute my...
Thank you. I'm just going to get some slides up and present. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Meg, for inviting me to speak and for the introduction. I just wanted to start by giving just a bit of context as to what the Joyful Academy is. So we are a new arm of the Joyful, and which is a brand and marketing agency for impact-driven businesses. And the purpose of the Academy is to empower passionate, socially conscious business leaders and entrepreneurs with the skills, mindset, and confidence to grow your business with joy, purpose, and impact. And we do that through a range of online courses, group workshops, one-to-one support, and bespoke training. So today we have a kind of mini workshop for you, and I'm going to do my best in 20 minutes to take you through all of Instagram's functionality. 3 years ago, this wasn't really a difficult thing, but now they've chucked everything into the mix. So I'm going to talk really, really fast. If I'm going too fast, just be like, no, stop. But we're going to try and get through in the next 20 minutes some real kind of practical, tactical, hands-on tips for building your Instagram profile, making the most of Instagram's functionality, some tips and tricks for reaching your ideal customers in an effective way. And the thread that runs through everything we do is around impact. It's around meaningful conversations that lead to great relationships and more business. Particularly, as I'm guessing, with digital businesses, most of you here are B2B. So the focus of social media is always on you as humans and on relationships. So first off, why should we all be using Instagram? So these stats are really kind of blew me away when I saw them, because there is still a lot of hesitancy from digital businesses, from B2B businesses around using Instagram. But it is definitely not a place anymore where millennials just upload photos of their avocado on toast, which in the early days, that was probably about 50% of what it was. So today, over 200 million Instagram users visit at least one business profile every day. 81% of people are using it to research products and services before they buy them. 58% of people have said that seeing a brand or a product featured in Instagram stories has made them more interested in it. 50% of people have visited a website to actually make a purchase after seeing it featured in Instagram stories. And this stat I found really interesting is that over 36% of B2B decision makers are using Instagram to research new products or services. And that same stat for LinkedIn, a dedicated business platform, is only 33%. Also, 50% of Instagram users said that after seeing an advert for a brand on Instagram, they are more interested in it. So this is a place where people are getting used to engaging with, interacting with businesses, and they want to engage and interact with businesses here. So it used to be primarily a B2C platform, but increasingly it's being used in the B2B space. And what Instagram is so great for is connecting with communities. You can find and join conversations via hashtags really easily. It's a great place for sharing this visual, easy to digest, bite-sized information, like hints and tips and tricks. It's brilliant for content collaborations. Live videos makes that really easy. And it's excellent for brand building, particularly, if you have a visual-based business, if you work in design, Instagram is a brilliant place to showcase what you can offer as well. So to start off, some tips for just optimizing your profile and making sure that it gives you the best chance of being discovered. First of all, you want to choose a profile photo that is either a professional headshot, if it's you, or your company logo, if you've got a bigger business. Secondly, you have 150 characters to do the best job possible of telling people who you are, what you do, and who you do it for. So really nailing that as like a 5-second pitch is brilliant. If you can get keywords in there, for example, you can see we say digital marketing agency within our Joyful Instagram profile, then it makes it easier for people to discover you because you'll show up in recommended searches. Showcase story highlights. So here we've got the Joyful team. You can see we've got Instagram TV, we've got awards. we'll come on more to stories later, but having these highlights pinned to your profile is a really great way to showcase your products, services, and expertise. You get one link on Instagram. You can't put links in your updates. They don't work. So the best way to get the most of this one link you have is to set something up like Linktree, which creates a menu of other links. So I've popped a link here, but definitely look up Linktree, go to our profile, have a look at our Linktree so you can see what it looks like. And if possible, use the same @name across all channels. So we are the Joyful across everything. It makes it easier for people to find you and verify who you are, for example, if they follow you on Twitter or another platform. Images. When Instagram started, this was literally the only thing you could do. So this presentation would have been about 2 minutes long. So when you're posting images to Instagram, you want to make sure that they are square in terms of aspect ratio. And if you do post portrait or landscape images, your feed will crop them in this square way. So make sure that important information or the key elements of your design don't get cropped out. You want them to be high quality, well constructed, on brand. You don't want them to be blurred or pixelated. You want them to look good. If you're writing really long captions for your images, to make them readable, break them down into chunks of text. And generally, when you're sharing images of people are far more engaging than any other type of image. You know, it's great to share like inspirational quotes as graphics, but they are less likely to get engagement than if you, your teams, your clients, your collaborators are actually showing your face within social media. You know, we're people, we want to do business human to human, we want to engage and interact with people. So get your face out there on social media in any way you can. Also, when you upload images, you can now add alt text, which is alternative text, or image descriptions to images. This makes your content accessible and ensures it can be read by people with visual impairments. So it's a really great thing to do. Videos, you can also upload videos to Instagram. Short ones, 3 to 60 seconds long, go directly into your feed, exactly the same way as you upload an image. Same rules apply when it comes to text. You want to crop those square like your images. And when they post to your profile, you want to pick a compelling thumbnail to display as a preview like this one. So you don't want it to be a black or a blank screen. Really, really important, not just from an accessibility, but from an engagement perspective, to add subtitles to your videos to make sure they work without sound. More than 80% of people scroll the Instagram feed on mute. And if they can't get the context of your video without turning sound on, they'll probably scroll past it. And then as a general video tip, if you're filming yourself, or particularly if you're using a smartphone, secure your camera with a tripod so that you avoid that wobble, because that can be really off-putting when it comes to video content, particularly these really short ones that you want to get a concise message across with. Instagram TV. This is how you can upload longer videos to Instagram. If you upload from your mobile, they can be 15 minutes. If you upload from your desktop, they can be 60 minutes. They have to be either vertical or landscape, so a 9:16 or 16:9 ratio. You can select a preview of your Instagram TV stuff that you upload to share as like a 60-second trailer to your profile and in feeds. So this is a great tactic to share your Instagram TVs here, because after 60 seconds, they'll prompt the person who's seen it to continue watching. So they click through and watch the whole video. You can choose to add a thumbnail cover to your Instagram TV videos to make them look professional when you're uploading from the web. You'll see here, I've put the square box on this image to show you how to make sure your Instagram TV thumbnails are in a square frame, because then that posts a really nice preview to your grid. And also add subtitles to these videos too. You can upload subtitle files, or you can select to auto-generate captions, which can be a little bit hit and miss depending on your accent and your diction. So to avoid some embarrassing mistakes, it's usually best to generate your own subtitles. You can also go live on Instagram. So you can broadcast live should you desire for up to 4 hours. I don't know, maybe you've got loads to say. But you can broadcast solo, or like in this example, you'll see me and my business partner, Sophie. You can invite a guest to the broadcast and you can have a live Q&A conversation all within Instagram. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't disappear. You can save it to your Instagram TV for people to watch later. It will give you instructions when you end your broadcast. You can share a preview. And what's great about live is that engaged followers will be alerted when you go live on the top of their feeds so they can tune in. If you are doing live broadcasts, really great to treat them like events and tell people to be there in advance so that you've got an audience and you can take comments live and have that real-time interaction. And it's a really good idea to stay live for at least 15 to 20 minutes to kind of give people a chance to join your broadcast and discover you. Like, we find kind of half an hour is a really good length of time to do a bit of a live Q&A for. Reels are the most simultaneously exciting and terrifying thing to happen. When I mention this to people, they're like, oh, I don't know what to do. But I'm, the thing about being a social media consultant is every time the platform updates something, you have to go and learn an entire new skill. So, I was a beginner like 3 months ago when it came to Reels. And the best way to learn is just to have fun, play, explore, look at what others are doing, get inspiration. But in a nutshell, Reels are essentially Instagram's answer to TikTok. They are a way that you can share these really engaging, high energy, 15 to 30 second video clips. You can cut little clips together. You can add punchy music. You can add audio. You can add text to pop up at different points in your video. And you can really, really have fun. Like, a lot of these are humorous. A lot of them are tongue in cheek. A lot of them are designed to entertain and make people laugh. And there is absolutely no reason why you can't do that for your business. They are getting incredibly high reach at the moment, more so than any other type of Instagram content. So I uploaded this reel to the Joyful Academy Instagram I think it was about 2 weeks ago. And when I put this presentation together, had 479 views, and it's now got 900 views. They've just kept going up. It's not like it's fast content and it disappears. Like, they have longevity when you create these reels. People do discover them for weeks after you've created them, because they get suggested to people. So you can post them as a preview to your grid so that your followers in the same way as the other content. But what's really great about reels is that people don't really have to be following you to discover them. When people just scroll through reels, if you've got well-optimized content that covers topics that people have indicated they're interested in, your reels will be put in that feed. And they're getting fantastic visibility at the moment. So really good time to explore and play with these, which we are going to be doing more of. It's always the way when you're a marketing agency, your own marketing comes last. And then Instagram stories. So these essentially are disappearing content, which is viewable for 24 hours. They are called stories because they're essentially a way to tell a story. So you upload images, you upload videos, they play in the order they've been uploaded in a slideshow format. They are really great if you're attending an event, for example, and you want to make multiple posts in a day about the people you're engaging with, the speakers you're seeing, their portrait. They've got to have that 9:16 aspect ratio. And what's great about stories is you can use them as a medium to promote all of your other Instagram content. So you can share your posts, your reels, your Instagram TV uploads, like you can see in this example, to your stories, and provide like a little teaser and tell people what to expect and why they should click through and watch it. There's some really brilliant functionality in stories, like there's funny filters, there's a question functionality, like an ask me anything that you can add. You can add polls, quizzes, countdowns. They're a really, really nice way to get that quick in the moment interaction. And like I mentioned at the top of the presentation, they don't have to disappear after 24 hours. They still stay stored in your account. So if you want to then add them to highlights on your profile, you're effectively pinning them so people can go back and watch them at any time. Hashtags. hashtags is probably the number one question I get asked about. How do you use hashtags? Why should I use hashtags? How many hashtags should I use? So essentially, hashtags on Instagram are essential for visibility as you grow your audience. You will see big brands with large audiences not using them at all. They don't need to. They've got millions of followers. So using hashtags is probably not going to make much of a difference to the visibility of their content. But for example, building a small account, like the Joyful Academy account is very new. We've got less than 200 followers at the moment. We're building it slowly. When I go and I look at my Instagram stats, I can see that more than 50% of our impressions and our engagements are coming from hashtags, not from people we follow at the moment. So they are so vital in increasing your reach. You want to be using a lot of them. The maximum is 30. Instagram will stop you using any more than that, and it won't let you post. You don't want to add them punctuated through your post text. Add them at the bottom, because otherwise it impacts readability. If you want, you can create a unique brand hashtags like your company name. So like, for example, we use We Are the Joyful, which, or a campaign slogan. And then when people post about you, they can use it too and get involved in the conversation. To increase your reach, you want to be researching really relevant, popular hashtags. So this example on the right, if you type in marketing, it gives you a whole load of hashtag suggestions that are really, really popular that you can select from. So you can always see how many posts are using these hashtags. When you find the ones you want to use regularly, it's a really good idea to add them to a note. So I just add them to a note on my phone so I can copy and paste them into an Instagram post when I'm using them. And I organize them in terms of topics. So I I'll go and grab the video marketing ones and put them in there. I'll grab the marketing ones and put them in there, so that you don't have to keep going back and finding them all the time. But you do want to vary up the hashtags you use and the order that you use them in, because if you are consistently putting exactly the same hashtags on every single post, you could risk being shadow banned, which means that your account for 48 hours won't appear in hashtag searches because it thinks you're being spammy. No one exactly knows why shadow banning happens, but it does happen, and varying your hashtags is a good way to avoid it. Particularly if you're just starting out, it's a good tactic is to use a mixture of hashtags. So as well as these sort of massive ones you can see that have 100,000 or even 1 million plus uses, you also want to be bringing more niche ones in that have 5,000 to 100,000 uses, because you have more chance of getting visibility on those more niche hashtags than on these massive noisy ones. So it's really great to have that balance as a strategy. And then some final tips: post consistently. Now, this does not mean post every single day. You do not have to post every single day for results. 50% of Instagram engagements happen in the first 6 to 13 hours, and 75% happen within 48 hours. And then after 48 hours, engagement will still continue to trickle in on your posts. And the algorithm actually rewards consistency over frequency. So it wants you to be showing up consistently with good quality content, not showing up and posting every day for the sake of it. You want to be proactive and social. People forget to be social on social media and they just use it as a broadcast tool, but that's not being social. So that's just media. So you want to be social in your social media. So dedicate time to comment on other popular relevant accounts that are using the same hashtags you use regularly, who are aligned to your message, who you potentially want to collaborate with. It's a really good idea before you post to spend some time engaging. That's a tip that I hear that goes around a lot, and it does seem to help if you spend some time engaging before you post. You want to be encouraging your teams, your networks to engage in a variety of ways. So liking is the easiest way someone can engage with your posts, really quick. They can also comment, which means they leave a more considered response. They can share it, which is that little paper airplane icon you can see, which means they can share it to their stories, or they can send it in a message to someone else. And then the little tab is save. Saves on posts are weighted quite heavily in the algorithm. So if you're sharing information-based posts that people might want to save and come back to at a later date, that can be really, really great for increasing reach and reaching new people. As we've covered, there's so many different content types just within this one platform. So use them all, experiment with them, vary your content, make your feed look dynamic. You know, if you're just sharing images, no matter how pretty it looks, you won't be getting as much engagement as if you are using all of this functionality, particularly video-based content. And then finally, when you're posting to Instagram, really, really think about your captions. So you'll see that in this example, after 3 lines, it becomes ... and there's a click for more. So you want to make sure to use a journalistic term that your hook is in that first 3 lines of content. Why are you sharing this? Why should people click that more button? So within that, you want to be authentic within the captions. You want to be using those hashtags, and you want to always be thinking, how can I add value? What is the impact of me sharing this, no matter what type of content you post? And there we go. That is the fastest ever TM tour of Instagram you'll probably find. So if that was really overwhelming and you're just like, the good news is we have a course where we take things a little bit slower. So we've just launched our online course in creating a powerful social media strategy that really is designed not only to motivate and inspire and engage your audience, but to motivate, inspire, and engage you as well. Like Rory was saying, you're really important within your marketing, so you should enjoy it above all. And that is the focus of this course. It's making your marketing joyful. It's giving you an audience-led, purposeful plan for your social. There'll be a whole bank of resources like this session, full of hints and tips to help you put your plan into action. And the goal of this course is that after 4 weeks, it's actionable every week. You will have not only the motivation and inspiration, but also the confidence and the mindset to get started and level up your social media. So bit.ly/joyful social online. We've got a special launch price. It's only £159 until the end of the month. And you can be our first kind of testing cohort of students. So it's all very exciting over here. And then if you want to connect with me online, here are my details. Follow We Are the Joyful, follow the Joyful Academy. The Academy we are building as a business school for you guys, for business owners. So if there's anything you don't see, if there's a course you want to see, we want to hear from you. Just tell us what you need and we will make it. And that's me.
Wow, brilliant. Thank you so much, Alice. There's a wealth of Instagram knowledge there and a lot of it. So yeah, thank you so much. There are so many questions going on in my head, actually. I don't know what to ask first. But there is a question in the chat. Rory asked this. Which apps or programs do you find are the most user-friendly for new editors of film and subtitles?
Oh, this is a good one. So I use a couple of tools. The first one is Clidio, which is a very weird name, but it costs about $70 a year, I think, and it's a video editing tool, but it's browser based. So the great thing about it is you upload your video and you edit it all in browser. So you don't have like massive video files and it taking up loads of memory on your laptop. And honestly, the functionality, like I've done my whole online course in Clidio, just chopping and merging videos together, and then just adding like fade in and fade outs on the end. And it's been absolutely brilliant. I've got no professional video editing experience, and I found it really easy to use. for subtitles, so you can add the subtitles in Clidio, and you can change like the color background, you can customize the fonts. But the way that I get my subtitle files, so it's a .srt file that you need, is using Otter, which is a transcription service. So I just upload the video, it pulls the audio, edit the subtitle file, get it from Otter, upload it to Clidio, and then edit it all in there.
Awesome. Love Otter.
Oh, I love Otter as well. I wrote a whole blog post in there the other day, just talking to my phone.
I walk and talk to myself and then get my blog posts.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
There is another, just in case people want another option as well, there's another subtitle caption type service, online service, which is called Rev, R-E-V, which is probably similar to Otter. So just in case anyone wants to have a look around.
And another really brilliant tool, which again I've used for my online course, if you want to do screen recordings with yourself, Zoom, you can do it in Zoom, but you can't move the placement of your video. So I've been using a really brilliant tool called Loom, which is about $10 a month, and your face appears in the little circle, and you can move it around your screen to where you want it and change the size of it, and that's been amazing. And again, it's all browser based, so it's all stored in Loom. You're not storing massive video files on your computer.
Great, thank you. There was another question in the chat about your slides, Alice. Would it be possible to share them with people? I guess if you send them to me, I can upload them to the meetup. I'm not sure actually if that's possible, but I'll work it out. If you send them to me, I will make sure that people who want to get them can get them.
Great.
Thank you. Any other questions for Alice? David. Hi, David.
Hey Meg. Hey Alice, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for that, really useful. A quick question, you mentioned consistency as a way of possibly helping get reach across the algorithm. Have you got any thoughts from running any of your accounts or clients' accounts recently around what current factors are affecting that algorithmic reach, especially for feed posts, obviously, because as you said, kind of reels and stories of it perform really well, but I'm just thinking of a number of people will launch an account, a brand new Instagram account, and it's going to take them literally years to build up an organic follower base. So any thoughts you've got on that would be really helpful.
So point one is hashtags, and it is really finding those niche relevant hashtags in the early days of your account, which are like 5,000 to 10,000, where there's lots of conversation going on, but around kind of smaller, more niche communities. So like, for example, I've been making jewelry during lockdown, and I've just started an account for my handmade jewelry. So I'm now kind of getting into what's going on in the artists and makers community. And I did a post recently where I've been just using like generic jewelry hashtags, and I've been using like necklace ones, and they're very like, that they're big numbers. And then I uploaded a pair of earrings and found all of these smaller hashtags around earrings, and the engagement on that post just went like massive. So you've got to be finding those smaller hashtags to engage in. The second one is saves. Encouraging people to save your post is a weighted signal to the algorithm that people want to come back to your post. As well as encouraging comments over likes. Basically, likes are the things the algorithm gives least weight to, because it's the easiest thing you can do. So, making sure that you're sharing your posts to your stories as well, and encouraging other people to share them. So encouraging that interaction. And the third tip is reels. 100% prioritize reels over any other type of content if you are looking to grow your following quickly.
Good stuff. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Great. You just come off of mute and ask your questions. Whoever wants to ask a question. Lubna, I think you've got a question. Andrea, you've got a question.
Yeah, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. That was a great presentation. Thank you, Alice. I wanted to ask two questions. One was how the search functionality works on Instagram. You said a lot of businesses are using it to search, and I just wondered how that works. And the second one would be, if you had a video, a long form video that you're using for YouTube, how would you recommend that you use that in Instagram or repurpose that in Instagram?
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So first question with the search function. So you can search Instagram for users, for hashtags, and there's also an explore section, which is just kind of tailored for you, that you go in and it recommends content you think you'll like. So in terms of kind of having your profile optimized for keywords, there being a keyword in your username, you're more likely to show up. Like if someone searches for marketing, you're more likely to show up if you've got that in your profile name. With hashtags as well, people can not only search hashtags, but if they search a hashtag and they see that it's got a lot of relevant content on it, what they'll then do is follow that hashtag, so that content from that hashtag appears in their feed, even when they aren't following the accounts. So for kind of me personally as a user, that's the way that I tend to use the search functionality most, is I search based on hashtags, because that's how people categorize and organize their content. And that is the most effective way to search for content on Instagram. So in terms of getting visibility within those searches, it all comes down to using the right hashtags that you know your audience is searching for, is the first one. And your second question was around YouTube content.
Yes, so if you have a long form YouTube video, you want to repurpose it for Instagram, because there's obviously a lot of different functions that you mentioned. I'm just wondering, should I create something for each one, or just focus on Reels, for example, like you mentioned?
Yeah, so with YouTube videos, you can just upload them to Instagram. You know, it's better if they're portrait on Instagram TV, but you can upload landscape videos as well, and then just put a kind of cover, like a vertical cover image on, and so you'll see, if you go on to the We Are the Joyful Instagram, you'll see, and if you go to our IGTV, you'll see where we've just uploaded some of our YouTube videos and then just put that cover image on. So, you know, it can just be that extra platform for you to put your content out there, and because it's native content, people can watch it in another platform. Ideally with Instagram, you want to be, you know, filming the content that's vertical. I mean, I don't know what type of content you tend to put on YouTube, but if you can maybe film it simultaneously in the portrait as well as the landscape view, by maybe setting up your phone camera next to the camera you're recording on, you could get it in that aspect ratio. But to save work for yourself, you can just upload the landscape videos direct to Instagram TV as well.
Yeah, I mean, I do video production, so I can change the aspect ratio, so that's not a problem. But what I mean is, like, do you recommend using all the different, creating something like chopping up the video and creating something for each different functionality, or would it be okay just to use Reels, for example?
I would say it absolutely depends on what you have the time and resource for, and what you enjoy creating. You know, don't feel that you have to split your content up because you're trying to game an algorithm or chase tactics. You know, at the end of the day, it's got to look like you're enjoying creating that content. In terms of Reels, you're going to want to create content specifically for Reels, because it is such an individual format in itself. I mean, you could kind of chop up more polished videos, but that's not the kind of content that gets the most engagement and goes viral. It's the stuff that is set to the dances, set to the audio, with all the little kind of pop-up pieces of text. But there's definitely loads of ways that you could, for example, if you've got a long, like 20-minute YouTube video, it can be so effective to take like little 60-second trailers and pop them out in your Instagram feed, for example, and then say, oh, you can watch the full video on my YouTube channel at the link in bio. So they're almost acting like little trailers, sending people to your YouTube channel. Or if they're longer than 60 seconds, you could put those on Instagram TV as well. So yeah, I would always recommend, if you've got a big chunky piece of content, look at how you can pull those little teaser snippets out to gain more reach and engagement, and then direct the people who are interested through to the bigger piece.
Awesome. That's really helpful. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Alice. Andrea, do you want to ask your question?
Hi, I have a Reels question. What kind of content do you recommend putting in the Reels? So my experiment was, I was pretty consistent for about a month, 2 or 3 Reels per week. And at the end of the month, I look at the statistics. I had about 20,000 accounts reach. Some of the Reels did really good. I used all the trending audios and everything, lip sync, but I got 2 or 3 follows. So it was good for reach and engagement. Some of them got loads of likes, but not follows on the account.
Yeah. So in terms of it, that probably means you're reaching like loads of people and they're engaging with your content, but they're maybe not your target audience. So kind of that's where you need to think about creating reels that are going to specifically speak directly to your target audience and give them something of value. Obviously I don't know what the kind of content of your reels was, but in terms of, like, for example, with me, with the academy, I would want to focus on my reels being pretty much tips for business owners and support for business owners and adding value for business owners, in terms of, that there are kind of 4 pillars of our content for the academy, which is helping people find clarity, helping people with expression, helping people expand their skills, and then mindset. So all of that kind of, the reels will then be a reflection of the ways in which we add value to business owners, because it'd be great for us to, we could just put kind of really fun content out there that would get loads of views, but if there's not a solid call to action at the end of it, then people are just going to watch it and scroll through. And so those kind of tips and hints and, the content that kind of does well is like, I call it like, oh my God, me too content. Like when you see it and you're just like, oh my God, it's like this person's in my head. Like that's when you generate followers, because they see it and they're like, oh, this person gets me. Like I need to see more from this person. So that kind of content can be really good as well. And then like how-to content as well, like step-by-step explainers and things like that can be a really great way of taking your audience through a process and adding value. And then with the kind of, to hear more, drop me a DM, or, read more in the comments, or that kind of thing.
Okay, thank you. I think that's a good point, because those entertaining ones do really well and have loads of reach, even though they are for my ideal customer. But in the end, they don't really do anything for the growth. So just stick to the ones that do add value. And even though they have lower reach, they might do better in terms of growth.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all about balance, like I say, if you're having fun doing that other stuff and you love putting it out there, like don't take the joy out of your marketing in favor of tactics. Like that is just going to kill the fun. So it's about balance. Like as with anything, it's about, okay, this is the stuff that I'm doing because I really enjoy it and I'm really passionate about it, versus this is the stuff that I'm doing because I know it gets me the most followers. It's like in the same way, like if you're a person, all you sort of did was work to make money, but there's probably like stuff like you volunteer, people might volunteer for a charity, or like just do something fun for the sake of it. Like, it doesn't necessarily directly need to business, but it is a really valuable part of your self-expression. And that should be part of your strategy as well.
Thank you. Yeah, makes sense.
Thank you. Thanks for everyone's questions. Thank you to Alice for answering those. I think there are a couple of things you said there that really sort of sort of jumped out at me, and that was marketing. I mean, Instagram is a part of your marketing. It's not your whole marketing, and everything needs to start from your sort of marketing strategy and your target audience and everything. And the other thing that you said as well was balance. I think that's really, really important, you know, kind of in everything that we do. And that also actually kind of speaks to some of what Rory was talking about too. And so, yeah, I think those kind of two are really important things that you've said. So thank you for that. So we're starting to lose people a little bit. So I'm going to start to wrap today up a little bit. There's just one thing that I wanted to bring to everyone's attention. If you were here at the very beginning and heard from Mark, we have got some events coming up with Worthing Digital during Get Online Week, and there is a link on the chat, but I'll put that in the meetup and everything as well. But I just wanted to just kind of announce the Worthing Digital sort of very first back to in-person speaker event, which is happening on October 21st at 6 p.m. in person. Can't believe it. So if you are in the Sussex area, then please, you know, come along. It is part of the Get Online Week series of events. And this is a mental health talk. So it's mental health in digital talk by a lady called Louise Harman, who was the winner of the University of Sussex Social Impact Award. So she's going to be an amazing speaker. And it is being held at Freedom Works, who very kindly and generously offered their event space the evening of October 21st. And it's at their new digital hub. So that's on the meetup as well. So please feel free to sign up and come along to that. Thank you everyone for coming. It's been really, really great to see everybody. Thank you so much to Rory and to Alice for your amazing talks. Please, everybody, do follow up with people who've been here, with the speakers. You can get in touch with me if you want as well, if you have any questions about Worthing Digital or about our upcoming events. So thank you all very much and have a great afternoon and a wonderful weekend. Thank you. Bye,
Thanks
everyone.
very much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.